Okay, welcome everyone. So let's just jump right into a meditation and kind of find a comfortable place to sit and just begin to get a sense of arriving here with whatever you came with. And let's begin by noticing how close we feel to the ground, to the earth. Sometimes we're feeling kind of floaty when, especially in the morning, just feeling your feet on the floor, bringing some awareness to your base, your pelvis and lower belly, and just getting a sense of arriving fully in your body. So in this meditation, we're going to begin by looking at the interior. So just kind of taking a screenshot of our inner body, our interiority, and notice the state of my body right now. How am I being breathed? Just notice your breath. And if you begin to elongate the out breath a little bit longer than the in breath, it really helps to drop more deeply into the body, bringing more mindfulness to the inner body. And kind of taking a screenshot of my interior, noticing any movement, and noticing the inner space. How spacious does it feel? Much of the work that we're going to be doing over the months that we'll be doing this book club will be attuning to my inner space. And inner space is like the paper that the book of life is written on. No paper, no life. So space is very important for creativity, for manifestation, for allowing ourselves to down-regulate and be more present. So does it feel spacious in my body, or does it feel tight and contracted? And we're not trying to change anything. We are attempting to raise the resolution, kind of like looking through a telescope or a microscope. We're raising our felt sense, the resolution of our awareness. So we notice sensation, we notice movement, and then we might also notice tension, particularly chronic tension, tension that you've been carrying for a long time. And that's a telltale sign of trauma or unfinished past. So again, we're not trying to get rid of it. We want to bring awareness to maybe some tension in the neck or shoulders or in the belly or in the legs. And just allowing ourselves to surf through the body and notice any tension. And you might also notice some numbness, some places that are very hard to feel. So numbness is a little harder to feel because it's not feeling. So we feel around the areas, maybe in our back or our side body or our heart space. And just, again, bringing more awareness, more mindfulness. And as we continue to notice movement, we begin to notice emotions. Emotions are movement in the body. So we just tune in. Maybe we feel some joy or compassion or love, fear, anger, sadness, grief, shame, or numbness. And just take whatever you feel. You might recognize that some of the emotions that you feel, maybe fear or shame, are familiar. And other ones, maybe grief or anger, we don't allow in, we suppress them. So just notice if there's a pattern to what emotions I'm open to feeling and which ones don't have a hall pass. And again, we're not trying to change anything. We're trying to get deeper and deeper into my inner body awareness. And when we notice the state of the mind, what's happening in the chat room right now? And just allowing ourselves to feel into that. Movement in the mind. You can actually feel thoughts when we attune to deeper listening. And just softening, slowing down. So there's the inner lens looking inwards, but there's also the outer lens. And just noticing, what's it like in my environment? Do I feel comfortable? Do I feel safe? Can I feel the shape of the room? Does it feel organized, disorganized? Comfortable, uncomfortable? How does it feel to be with others online? Do I feel safe? So what we'll be working with through the next months is creating a safe container for healing, for becoming more present, and for noticing the places where we feel stuck, where there's no movement. So this is the beginning of a longer process as we build a community, and as we deepen our relationship to our body, our emotions, our thoughts, and the outer world. So let's just take a moment coming back in and noticing how we move in and out, the inner body, the outer world. And take a moment to look at, what do I need from the call today and from this work that we're going to be doing around integrating trauma? And allow yourself to notice your breath as you're doing that. What is it that I really want to receive out of this program? And then as you're ready, allow yourself to come back in. And maybe turn your camera back on. Hi, welcome back. Hi, Gwen, Marielle, Sasha. So what we're going to be talking about today, and Gwen, I know you have to go to work, but stay as long as you can, okay? So again, when we start interacting, I'll turn the video camera off. At this point, I want to talk about attachment styles. In the beginning of the book, the first chapter is the mother wound, looking at the mother wound, and we will develop that and go through that. But I think it's important to learn a little bit about what is this thing called attachment styles, and how do they develop, and how do they create our identity, literally. Um, so this attachment style is how we feel attuned to by our caregivers. And it starts in utero. It's so important. The first 2.5 years of our life are the time when we have brain development. So this early attachment style is really important for brain development, but even more so, self-regulation, because we can't learn to self-regulate our emotions and our feelings without having someone that's there to co-regulate with us in the beginning. So how we individuate, not become an individual, but individuate, become a person, is through this learning to self-regulate, and through co-regulation. So that's what really is important for the early development. If we didn't have that, we can still heal that, but it's now become um, something that we have to go back and feel the feelings that got stuck in our early development period. So in an ideal world, um, we would have perfect parenting, and they would be there, and you'd be felt, seen, held, heard, protected. All would be great. But parents have busy lives, and they have their own things handed down through generation to generation to generation. So much of our attachment styles are related to our ancestors as well as our parents. So I want to talk about the different styles just to give you a little understanding of it. And the first one is a secure attachment. And secure attachment, my teacher says 50% of us all have secure attachment. So sometimes I wonder about that, but most of the people I see probably didn't have secure attachment. But that's when a parent sees, soothes, feels, and responds to our signals in a healthy way, our crying. I grew up in the Spock era when it was parents were told, just let the baby cry it out, right? Which caused a whole generation, several generations of people, that not only was the child traumatized because it wasn't getting its needs met, but the mother or parent had to listen to the screaming, and it traumatizes the parent. So, the more a parent is able to connect with and attune to the child, the more powerful it is, the more the child feels seen, soothed, safe, and secure. Um, and that's about tuning in. And the thing about secure attachment is it isn't always perfect, but there's always repair. So let me give you an example of how we may not realize something very simple that happens in our childhood. So let's say there's a baby, a toddler, and the toddler's crawling, and how we learn is through curiosity and fear. And when we have fear, we come back to our caregiver, and she or he takes care of us. So, so let's say the child's crawling out, and the dog barks, and the child goes, oh, and runs back to mom and says, Mom, the dog's going to eat me. I'm scared. I'm scared. And mom says, don't be scared. There's nothing to be scared about. It's okay. Grow up. Saying this to a 3-year-old, and that sounds not so bad, not such a big deal. But what really happens there? The child comes back with an emotional request, which is answered with a cognitive answer. So the child says, wait, I am scared. I'm not supposed to feel scared, but I am scared. So something's wrong. And it's never something's wrong with my mother or my caregiver. It's something's wrong with me. Now, take another example of the same thing. Child goes out, curious, the dog barks, ah, daddy, daddy, I'm scared. This is not gender related. I just change it all the time. But daddy says, oh, sweetheart, come here, sit up on my lap. You know what? I get scared sometimes too, and it's okay to be scared. And the child goes, really? Yeah. And then hops off the lap and goes and plays with the dog. That's what creates a secure attachment. But it's so challenging for a parent that has maybe three kids and everybody's running around or their own wounding. So it's really important to to be able to feel the child and to meet the drive and if there is a rupture like that, to repair that, to notice, wait, the child's still afraid, it hasn't been handled yet. So that's, the best thing, secure attachment, that it's the child is felt, seen, heard, held, protected, and repaired when there's a break in that. But then there's the second one is avoidant attachment. And I have a bit, I bit my tongue, which has been really hard for uh, doing my audio book right now. So if I sound funny, it's because I've got a bite on my tongue. So excuse me. But avoidant attachment is the next one. And that's like 20% of the people. That's like the caregiver ignores the signals, is not tuned in, is not soothed or seen. And it's frustrating and it's confusing for the child. And so, as a child, we disconnect from our inner and outer world and we become withdrawn. That's avoidant. And you say, the child says, Mom, I try to let you know what I need, but you just don't get it. So what? So I'm going to do it on my own because I have to see my caregiver is good. I can't make them wrong. So I feel shame, like it's my fault that my caregiver can't see me, can't be with me, and I'm bad. Something's wrong with me. That's what avoidant attachment is. So I become disconnected from my needs. I withdraw and I say, I'll take care of it. And I feel lonely. And but I learn to avoid my own needs. I feel disconnected. Um, so that means that I'm always having to do it on my own, and I can't trust. And I've got to be good, and I feel shame. Um, and I find things around me as I get older to uh, discover why I have to do it on my own because I can't trust people. I disconnect, and in relationships it gets very difficult, and I become very aloof because I can't really fully trust. So that's avoidant. And then there's the second or third one is ambivalent attachment. Ambivalent attachment is 20% of the time, like, I mean, 20% of the people can have that. And that's like sometimes I feel soothed, sometimes I feel seen and safe, but Mom, you're not always there for me. And it leaves me feeling like I can't rely on others. So I have these mixed feelings of you're there, sometimes you're not there. So I tend to cling, I tend to hold on. I feel I can't really fully rely on others. So I'm filled with uncertainty. Um, and I don't, I feel these intense feelings, but I have to hold them in. Um, because I can't rely on other people. And this is a very hyperactive attachment model. It's very needy. I'm uncertain about who I am. Um, and I don't have an internal model for how to get my needs met. So it's an uncertain sense of self. Um, and I become hyper attached when I am in a relationship. I'm clingy. So that's the third one, and the fourth one is the one that I have actually, which is only about 10%, and that's disorganized attachment. And I want to make clear that these are not like indelible, that attachment styles are guides to recognize, oh, how did I get this way and what do I need to heal? So it's not like a sentence or something. But disorganized attachment is like 10% of the population has that. And it's a strategy. So in this sense, your caregiver is the one that's actually harming you, that has brought terror or neglect. There's drinking, there's fighting in the family, there's verbal and physical abuse. It's kind of like fear without solution. We want to get away, but we can't. You know, when you're 3 years old or 5 years old and your parents are fighting and they're about to get a divorce, and you feel the fear and the need to fix it, but you can't fix it, and you can't leave. You can't just pack your bags. So what do? The nervous system and its intelligence pushes down the experience, and it becomes lodged in your body as tension or as numbness in your body. Um, it's like a fragmented sense of self. And it's very hard to regulate your emotions and to have healthy relationships. You usually have a lot of fights or a lot of um, not, it doesn't make sense. I can't think clearly. I have difficulty relating to others. I'm dysregulated. I have to distance myself a lot, or I absence myself. I go away. So, so this is one of the challenging things about attachment styles. I think for today I want to leave it here, and just you know uh, just take a look for yourself, and maybe take a moment and go inward and just look at how each of these. So, um, secure attachment. Do I feel secure? Do I feel I have an integrated experience? Am I open to love? Do I feel compassionate? And do I feel easy to communicate with others and feel safe? Um, there's that part. Avoidant, the signals aren't seen and responded to, so I feel disconnected, not integrated. Um, uh, I've got a T-shirt on that says "I'm ready to feel rejected." Basically, it says on my T-shirt, "I'm ready to feel rejected," right? And then ambivalent is kind of like uh, mom is an intrusion, or as caregiver is an intrusion into me. Um, I'm nervous, but you don't pick up on the signals. You don't understand. They're contingent. My safety is contingent on where you are, so I always have to be alert, and I have a strategy to be safe. Um, so it's anxious, it's fearful, and there's a hunger there, a wanting, a need in it. And disorganized is just chaotic, and it's creating terror, um, and feeling fragmented all the time. So that's what I wanted to just have you take a moment and look. Any comments about that from your own experience? Anything you notice? Where would you put yourself in one of these attachment styles if you were doing that? And I'm going to turn off the recording because I want this to be a safe space. So let me just stop the recording here for that.